Welcome, fans of the orange. In this video, the only orange thing you're gonna see is the sweater. And, well, the guitar is kind of orange, but the orange pedal is black, which means it's a black pedal from the orange people. I had the pleasure of reviewing the Bass Butler a while back, which is a big-ass pedal, a not super cheap pedal, but the really cool thing is a dual DI, and you can actually do the clean and then mixed in with the drive, and it is the pedal that bass players need. It's a really, really good tool to get those growly sounds, but in a controlled manner. Now, Orange said, if we have the Bass Butler, won't the guitar players be all little crybabies? Where's our little butler? We want the butler too! And there is the Orange Guitar Butler. Now, it is different. It's also crooked. It doesn't do the parallel thing. It is a different kind of idea. So the idea here is, it's a 2-channel preamp. We are going to run it through normal amps as a drive pedal. We're going to run it through a Class D power amp. We're going to use the balance out. But before that, we're going to look at stuff. 2 clicky switches. This switches between 2 different volumes, so you can have a lead volume if you so desire, indicated in red and blue. Here, we are on the clean channel. That's orange, actually. And then the drive channel, interestingly, is green. I've never seen a drive channel indicated by green, but why not? I think that should be red, and then that should be green and blue. But what do I know? Just colors are important to me. So on the clean channel, we have gain and 3-band EQ, treble, middle, and bass, indicated by the orange pictograms. On the drive channel, we have gain, bass, middle, treble, 2 different volumes, and a presence, which depending on what you're using, you have to completely forget about, like so, or really dial it in, as you will see when we're testing it. On the back, we have an input, which is self-explanatory. We have an effects send and return, so the pedal has its own effect loop if you're using it with a power amp, which we will also be doing. And then there's an amp out, and it's not really defined on, are you going into a power amp or are you going into the input of an amp? I think it can do both. There's an balanced out, which has cap simulation on it. I wish it didn't, because nowadays it's just, it would be nice if it had cap simulation on it that you can just turn off. And then it's bypassed, and then you're just getting a DI out, therefore being able to run IRs in your software, because an analog cap simulation isn't the most contemporary thing to have. It is powered by its own 18-volt DC power supply, which is supplied, so use it. And there is a ground lift switch. I had to disconnect the balanced cable because I have some ground loop in here, which the lift wasn't able to lift. Okay. But that's more an issue of my studio than anything else. It's a rather big-ass hunk of a pedal. So you can see this is high. Not sure if on your pedal board you want to have it on your top tier. Put it on the bottom tier maybe. It is definitely a big hunk of a pedal. This, and then something like a pedal baby from Orange, maybe on your pedal board, or actually this on a pedal baby as an amp rig could work. I don't happen to have a pedal baby at hand. I'm using the Seymour Duncan power stage right there on the table once we go directly into a power amp. And that brings us to our setup for the video. I'm going with the guitar into the Golden Boy Overdrive by Jackson Audio over here. That's going into the Guitar Butler. In the effects loop of the Guitar Butler, I have the Starlight and the Golden from Universal Audio for effects if I so choose. And that is then going into my AMPETE switcher, from which I can go to different amps, but also into the power amp. And then balanced we'll do later. Relatively straightforward setup, some effects in the loop, and I go into different amps. Let me turn on more amps. We're not going to go into the orange, because if you have an orange, why would you have an orange pedal to go into an orange to get the orange sound? Generally, this is not the Rockerwurp orange high gain sound. It's more of a classic rock, not ultra high gain. It's a thick, pumped up amp sound on the drive channel, as you will see. We're using humbuckers for this thing with this, it's called Heritage Custom Core Artisan Aged. This is, look at this, come on. This is a very, very nice guitar. Can't bitch about that at all. So, this is the sound into, I can't bypass it at all. That's the thing, there's no bypass. It's not a drive pedal, it's a preamp. So right now, we're going into that pedal and then into the Tone King, Sky King, into the aux with the 412 pre-magnolia cab. So that presents, it's not just for Christmas. Presents, Christmas is over. Funny joke, come on. No, it's not. It's only for the drive channel. Let me put some reverb on it in the effects loop from the Golden. A little bit of spring never hurt anyone. Something to the amp. It is brighter, more sparkly than the Tone King usually would be. Neato, why not? Let's crank up the gain a little bit here. That push, that drive, that's kind of nice. How does it play with an overdrive? Say it's a pedal platform, pretty damn cool and very tweakable with the EQ. It'll do the job, no questions asked. We're going to channel 2. This is a good rock sound. There is zero question about that. I'm going to turn the reverb off. This is a good sound. I want a little bit brighter. And there are two different volumes. Which in front of an amp you're not gonna hear because you're pushing the amp more, so it'll result in more in more gain, but not really in more volume. That is only something that will happen when you have it into a power amp. So before we do that, we're gonna go and pump that into 1 or 2 or 3 amps. Let's go into an amp that's already driving a little bit. Ooh, that's bad. That's the Morgan MVP66, which is already kind of JTME driving, and I think we're pushing it way too hard now. That's, well... Nah, it's not a good idea. Let's go into the Mini Plexi by the Marshall. So I'm gonna say in front of amps, if it's clean, yeah. Yeah, okay, in front of a driving amp, not happening. Let's go into in front of the JCM800, which I have on the low input. That could work. That really big low end. I mean, generally, it is designed to go into a power amp. I really do like it in the Tone King. You have to make sure that your amp is a clean kind of pedal platform amp. But then, as you could see in the JCM800, it was very dull, but I can tweak it with the presence knob. Now, we're going to go into that power amp, which is a Class D power amp from Seymour Duncan, pedal board friendly, 170 watts of Class D. And here we go. Missed the string! Missed the string! Miss the bend. Miss the bend. That's the golden bow again as an overdrive in front of the Butler. Works for me with the drive. So in that power amp, it's a little bit dull, but that is what the presence is for. Nice leads on that thing. Realistically, if I had that on the pedal board with that power amp, I could go into a speaker, and I have a pedal board friendly amp solution. It doesn't feel like a modeler. It doesn't feel digital because it's not. It's fully analog. And even though that's 2 channels versus 1 million in whatever modeler you have, I would probably prefer that because it just feels right. And it is very rock and roll. It's not super high gain. I don't think this is your gent pedal, but it has all that orangey goodness, all that flavor, and rock and roll is the only thing I can describe it. Let's go with the DI thing there, the balance thing. So I can pull out my amp thingy. I mean, it's a DI sound. It doesn't move air in a room. It's very direct. It's okay. I would still prefer to send this, which is possible because it doesn't really sound like a cab, through an IR because that gives it more realism. It's just the modern thing to do, to have a DI out that is unprocessed. You hear this once I go into the drive. It is a cab simulated out. It would be nice if we could switch that off. That isn't horrible, but it's nowhere near the results that nowadays we can get with some kind of IR loader that Hot Tone has, that Two Notes has, that Engel has, and so many other companies, or go directly into your DAW through your audio interface and process an IR on it on there with an IR loading plugin. I just think that Orange is a little bit behind the times there, trying to do it all analog. For a live situation, can I get away with that? Yeah. Can I get away with that in a practice room? Yeah, for a rehearsal, I'll accept it. It's just not it's not a recording solution that's in any way acceptable long term, I think. I don't know how to bend. You can record a demo and it's going to be fine, but any free VST software plugin amp will kill this. So if this wasn't processed and we could put an IR on top of it, I think we could get really good results, especially if it's software like the Wall of Sound, where you can have power amp simulation happening. That would be good, because right now, of course, we're missing the power amp. So as a DI solution, there is better stuff on the market, no questions asked. Putting like an IR loader behind it, considering it's already processed, isn't ideal, but you can try. Now, in front of an amp, if it's a good compatible clean amp like the Tone King or something Fendery, I think it really shines and you can get kick-ass sounds. In front of a power amp, that's where the presence really comes in. We had to push the treble, but that's fine. That's what it's for. It really works. So having this with a Pedal Baby or a from Orange, or a Seymour Duncan Power Stage, or the Harley Benton Thunder 99, or any of these little power amps, is probably a very good idea for a mobile pedal board friendly solution. The sounds are rock and roll, and it has Orange inside. I like that they didn't go super high gain and just gave us a rock box, which this is. Super pedal friendly clean channel, very tweakable. I like that as well. I like that it goes into some overdrive right about here, and that it's very tweakable with the 3-band EQ. Don't know about the dual volumes in my setup here. It's tough to differentiate volume from gain boost. But I think with an amp, with a power amp and a cab in the room, you would hear a considerable volume difference. Format, the damn thing is big. Could it have been smaller? Don't know. You definitely are sacrificing some pedal board space for that, and it is rather high, and you need the extra 18-volt power supply. I don't know about the milliamps, but consider not being able to power it with your pedal board power supply, which means you have to have the extra wall board happening. Okay, pros and cons. Balance out, kind of not going with the times there, Orange. Just let me switch that off and let me put my own IR on it. I think that's the better solution. Power supply, nothing you can do. It's a real, analog preamp, so you need the power. I totally get that. Size, a little bit much. I think you could do better. I think you could make that smaller. But what do I know? Sounds, I'm fully with you. That is rock and roll in a box. I'm fully with the sounds. I like them. The price, I have no idea. It is December right now. It's coming out in January. I have no pricing on it. You figure that out, and then you be the judge whether that is how much you want to pay for it or not. Talking about paying for it, Orange paid for this video because they like me and they appreciate the time and effort that it takes to make these videos, and also that Leslie's sitting up there working with me on them. Thank you very much. Yeah, that leaves to say, please follow me on all the Instagriddles and Facebook and all that stuff. Those numbers matter. Doesn't hurt you at all. Subscribe. It doesn't hurt you at all to subscribe, even if you never watch again, but it really helps me. So that's a good thank you for the video. If you do that, subscribe to the channel. And for Patreon also helps. If all of you do $1 a month, I'm a rich man. But if, some of you do $1 a month, I can buy food. So that's a good thing. Support the channel, Patreon, all that stuff. Links below, using them also helps me. You can help me in so many ways that don't hurt you in any way and that support your content creators on YouTube. Not just me, but all of them. Throughout all the different genres. Doesn't have to be guitar. Support your content creators because that's the world we live in now. We bring you content, you support us, friendships. Animals at the end.
That could never wash out. Take two and start again.